Hi friends, it's Deanna here today, and today we're going to be sewing up the Stephan Cargos. These pants are so cool. I love all the different details that are put into this pattern. It turned out so good. I have them right here, but you're gonna have to wait till the end to see the results. I love how they turned out. We're gonna take it one step at a time, so no need to be worried about it. We're gonna do it together, and let's get started. All right, I've got all my pieces, and as you can see, I've labeled all my pieces because I want to make sure that I keep them correctly. I've also, on my cargo pockets and everything, I've traced out the markings from my patterns, so that way I have that all ready to work on. All right, we're gonna start with our pants. I've got my front pant piece here. This is my crotch area. This is my pocket area. I'm gonna grab the pocket facing. I'm gonna place it right sides together along that curve to match up the curve here of the pocket. Now, because we're using a woven fabric, a fabric that's gonna fray out on me, you wanna make sure that you sew it first on your sewing machine, do a straight stitch on your sewing machine, and then do a finished edge. So you can finish your edge with a serger or with a zigzag stitch on your sewing machine. I actually, for this, I'm going to be using my sewing machine and then my serger, but I do have my serger does do a chain stitch, which is a safety stitch. So if you have a serger that does a safety stitch and then a serge edge, then that would work as well. But you want to make sure that you have something that's going to prevent your pant from fraying out on you. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and grab that pocket facing. I'm gonna take out my sticker now, my label, and I'm going to flip it to the wrong side. So flip it right over and give it a good steam here at the seam. If you're wondering why my fabric is so wrinkled, it's because that's the look of the fabric. It looks like it's wrinkled. It's like a weathered look, but it's not wrinkled. I thought about that after I bought the fabric and I was looking at it after I washed it. I was like, wait a minute. Then I was like, oh yeah, no, that's the look. These cargo pants will be for my team, so maybe that will be good for him so he doesn't have to worry about ironing. Just add more wrinkle look. All right, once that's steamed, we're gonna go over to our sewing machine and top stitch that right there along the curve. All right, so that looks so good already right there. That pocket's gonna look so good. We're going to flip that to the wrong side. Then we're going to grab our pocket lining and we're gonna place it the right sides together. So the right side is facing out here because that's the side you're gonna see. And we're going to stitch along the bottom and along the side, so like right along the whole pocket lining. You're gonna sew straight stitch and then finish off your raw edge. My clips are slippery. We're gonna do that for both pockets. All right, now that the pockets are finished, what you want to do is you want to go ahead and put in a basting stitch here at the side and here at the top. So that way, when you go to your steps, when you're sewing them together, your fabric doesn't fall down on you or something like that, and everything gets caught as you're sewing it. Now we're going to prep our fly and our under fly. So we're going to grab our fly and we're going to attach that interfacing to the wrong side. I just realized that doing that deleted my little mark right here, so I'm gonna add it again. My little stopping mark here that was showing me where I need to go. It's trying to delete again because it's like a heat dissolving ink, I guess. Okay, so then we're gonna go to our serger and finish off this raw edge, the curved raw edge. Now you don't want to cut it, so you want to make sure that your knife is not cutting any of it off when you're sewing that, when you're finishing that off. Then we're going to grab our our underfly, and I'm going to place the interfacing to one of the wrong sides. So this is the right side. No, sorry, this is the right side, so to the wrong side. All right, so we attach the interfacing to one of the wrong sides of the underfly. Then we're gonna go ahead and fold the underfly right sides together, and we're going to sew the short raw edge here. You can go to my sewing machine and sew that short raw edge at the same time that I'm finishing off that raw edge, the curved raw edge of my fly. For our basting stitch, I'm just going to create a long stitch. So I'm just lengthening my stitch to a 5, and then we're just gonna baste those. All right, so we've got the underfly. We're gonna go ahead and trim the seam allowance and clip around like the corner kind of curved, so that way when we turn, it's nice and flush. We're gonna turn it right side out. We're gonna go over to our serger and serge this side close. So close that gap and just do a nice little serge right there. And we're also going to grab our, well, if you don't have a serger, you could do a zigzag stitch. So you're just gonna finish off that side. And then we're also going to finish off the crotch of the front pant. So both front pant legs, we're gonna finish off that crotch. I'm gonna do that with my serger, but if you don't have a serger, again, you can do a zigzag stitch, but we're just gonna finish that curve. All right, we're going to grab our right pant leg, which is our wearer's left leg. So if you like are wearing it, you're gonna be looking at it from your angle. It would be the left side. And we're gonna grab this zipper fly and we're gonna place it right along that crotch seam, and we're gonna align it here at the top and then sew it along this side right here, the raw edge. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and open that seam allowance, and we're gonna turn our fly towards the wrong side. And then we're gonna go ahead and top stitch our fly and our seam allowance down, right, all the way around that curve. All right, y'all ready? We're moving on to our zipper. Okay, so we're gonna grab our zipper and we're gonna place it along that zipper fly here, right sides down, and it's gonna be 3/8 of an inch. There's gonna be a 3/8 of an inch gap here at the top, and we're going to either clip it or pin it. I'm just gonna clip it here along that edge, and then we're going to turn that fly towards the other side, and you'll see it's going to be right here. And we're gonna go ahead and go over to our sewing machine and sew that zipper on right here to this side, the opposite side of where my pins are. And we're going to go 1/4 of an inch. We're gonna have a 1/4 of an inch allowance here. So I'm gonna go ahead and sew that on. I'm gonna put a zipper foot on there and carefully sew my zipper on. I don't happen to have a lighter zipper, so we're going with the black zipper, and I think it'll still be fine. All right, I've got my zipper foot on, and I don't have a lighter zipper, so we're going with this black zipper, and we're gonna go ahead and sew that up. I'm gonna get up here to that zipper. I'm just gonna keep my needle down, but I'm gonna move the zipper down. Get it out of the way. Just move your needle up a little bit so it can give me more room. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and move this one side of the zipper tape up to kind of get it out of the way. You can baste it or just put a pin on there, whatever you want. This pin is kind of flimsy. That did not work. Let's try again. Okay, so we've got that out of the way. And what we're going to do is we're going to top stitch the fly from the other side. So you can do a few things. You can go and do a basting stitch first here, like a running stitch, and then turn it around and then top stitch over that stitch so it looks even. Or you can just come from this side and draw it on, so that way you know exactly what it's supposed to look like. Like you can draw the line here, or you can just, if you can feel it, like if you can go on your sewing machine and know exactly what it's supposed to be like and kind of feel it yourself, you can just go for it. It really is up to you. We're just gonna sew all the top stitch the fly guard down, the fly down here, and give that shape. So we're gonna do 2 lines, one first and then another 1/4 inch away from it. All right, so I'm gonna start by doing that basting stitch So I'm gonna grab from the wrong side, I'm gonna go around that fly. So then now that basting stitch can be removed later easily, but see how now I have a line that can guide me. So I'm gonna go change it into a normal stitch, and we're gonna go over that line. And then we're gonna do another line 1/4 inch away from that first line. All right, that looks really good. All right, we're gonna flip that around to the wrong side and remove that pin. We're gonna grab our underfly, and that serge edge, we're gonna align it with our zipper. Now, you're not grabbing the front, the fly, you're just attaching to the zipper. So you're touching the zipper and the underfly, right sides together. I mean, well, at that unfinished edge, like the edge where you serge. Okay, and then we're gonna go ahead and sew that zipper down right there. If you're to open the underfly, you'll see the back of your zipper here. So that's the part that's supposed to be right there. We're gonna stitch that on right there. All right, so now we've got our zipper on here. We're gonna grab our other side of our pant, our wearer's right, which is our left side that we're looking at. And we're gonna match up where you can see the underfly right there. And we're going to snip we're gonna snip 3/8 of an inch above. So go above that underfly 3/8 of an inch, and then we're gonna snip right there. Just a little snip. See that right there? Now we're gonna go ahead and press that seam allowance of the top towards the wrong side. So let me get my iron. Are you worried about the zipper? Me too, me too. We're just taking it one step at a time. I'm trusting the process. Zippers are easy, but zippers can also be a little bit confusing because there's a lot of steps. But listen, we take it one step at a time, and we can do it together. So I'm gonna remove this sticker too. I don't know why it's there still. Okay, so I folded that. If you can see, that seam allowance is folded to the wrong side of the pant, and we're gonna do it to the bottom part as well. All right, so we are doing it all the way to the bottom, to the wrong side here. I'm gonna cut all these threads here, kind of get them out of the way. Threads annoy me. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and open this up. Here's another thread. We're gonna open this up here and see where this zipper is here. We're gonna grab our side that we just folded down, and we're gonna place it right over that zipper. Okay, so we wanna cover our stitching of our zipper. You can go ahead and like hand stitch it on first. You can use some Inseam, or you can just pin it. And we're gonna sew that, top stitch that onto that zipper place right there. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and stitch that down. Now at the bottom, you need to make sure that you back stitch right there when you're at the bottom. This part is scary. I'm doing it with my zipper foot still, but I'm moving it over to the other side. Again, I think hand basting would probably help a lot right here. Am I gonna hand baste? Probably not, because I'm a rebel. Should I be hand basting? Probably. All right, let's get started. I'm gonna move this zipper down, get it out of the way. Okay, I'm gonna put my zipper up, keep my foot down, my needle down, put my foot up and move the zipper back up, get it out of the way so we can continue on. I hope you know what I was gonna say next, and then backstitch. You know what I was gonna say? So we continue on to the hopes of becoming America's Next Top Model. That's my mind. So now make sure that your zipper looks good. Open it up, looking all good. Remove the basting stitches if you put basting stitches on. And it's looking good. Okay, So now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that our seams right here are still facing the wrong way and nicely steamed. And then we're just going to overlap them together. If you want to hand baste first, you can hand baste first, because we're going to follow that stitching that you created earlier and baste them. I mean, not basting, top stitch them together here at this crotch seam. Okay, if you look in the back, they're just overlap where that seam is here. Okay, so now the front of our pants is looking really good. All you got to do is pull away the zipper and the zip underfly, and you're going to tack the zipper to the underfly so that way it stays nice and tacked there. So we'll go tack that. And while I'm at it, I'm going to put that aside. Onto our back yoke, and we have those darts. I drew them out, and we're going to fold the dart right sides together so the fabrics will be touching right sides. So my dart is drawn on the wrong side, so that's kind of nice because then I can see it. And I'm going to pin that dart, and I'm going to sew a stitch, straight stitch going down the dart, and then I'm going to reduce my stitch length and go out the end and on both darts, and do the same for the other one. Now remember, different sizes, the yoke will look different for different sizes. I'm making the extra small waist for my son, so it's a little bit smaller because it's as a small size. But if your yoke is bigger, it's, you know, you got a bigger size. So I count for that. So if you look at my yoke and you're like, oh, that's so tiny, it's for my young son. So that's why it's a smaller yoke. Don't backstitch at the end of the dart. We're going to tie that off later, but we don't want to backstitch because then you might have a bulky seam right there. For the smaller size, I recommend just doing one at a time, because I try to do both of them at the time, or I have both of them pinned at the same time, and one of them got caught on the other one. So just sew one up and then pin the other one and sew the other one up. All right, so now we're gonna steam those. Just gonna steam them back and forth. And at the bottom of the dart, we're going to just tie a little knot so that the thread doesn't come apart. And you'll repeat that with both. Now we're gonna grab our bottoms, and we're gonna position them right side up on our table, and we're going to match up our yokes where they belong. So this is the right side of your yoke. You see it right there. Okay, the taller portion of the yoke should be at the crotch seam of the pants. So see that's how it's going to face. So now we'll grab our yoke and we're gonna flip it right on top. So right sides together and match up the raw edge. And we're gonna go ahead and sew those up, okay? And finish off the edge with your preferred method. So I'm gonna sew on my sewing machine with a straight stitch and then go over to my serger and finish off that raw edge. So now we're gonna go ahead and steam that yoke with the seam towards the pants. And then I'm gonna go top stitch that down from the wrong side. So we're gonna top stitch right there. It's already looking so good. Okay, while I'm doing that, I'm also going to go ahead and prep my back pockets. Take this sticker off, and to the wrong side of the pockets, I'm going to attach, I'm going to attach some interfacing, lightweight interfacing, and we're going to finish off that top edge and then fold it down a 1/2 inch down to the wrong side. But I'm just going to go ahead and fold it down now so I can go finish it and then top stitch it at the same time. Because we're going to finish that raw edge and then fold it and then top stitch it. So I want to be able to have that. So I'm going to do that and the top stitch in the yoke at the same time. I'm actually gonna finish all the raw edges of the pocket, just all the way around. All right, and then top stitching that pocket. So now we're gonna grab those edges and we're gonna fold them in. I'm actually gonna trim all these threads first. I do not like them. Okay, and I'm gonna fold all those edges in 1/4 inch. All right, we're gonna grab both of our back pants and follow that guide. I drew mine onto my pant, and I'm gonna follow that guide and place my pocket right where that guide, where I had that guide. And we're going to sew around all the sides and the bottom, but obviously not the top because that's where the opening is. Now, if you wanted to like decorate the pocket and do some fun like stuff on it, you would do it now while it's like this and just do like all the fun things that you sometimes see on pants. That would be so fun to do too. My son is boring when it comes to stuff like that. He does not like stuff like that. But I think that that's super fun. Wouldn't it be so fun to like embroider their name on it or something? I don't know. My son would probably be like, Mom! I thought it would be cute. I actually prefer the look of 2 lines of top stitching, so I'm gonna go ahead and make another line of top stitching, another row here. I just like that look, so I'm gonna make a second row here. And then when I attach, I'll also do 2 rows probably, most likely. Make sure you backstitch at the beginning and at the end of the pocket so that it's nice and sturdy there at the top. Those pockets look nice. If I say so myself, they look really good. I'm excited. Okay, so now we're gonna grab our pants and we're going to match up. So I'll grab my front and I'll place it right side up on my board, and I'm gonna match up the sides. So pant legs. So the right side has to touch the right side. So this is the crotch seam here, as you can see here. That's gonna match up the crotch of the pant, the front. So we're gonna match up the sides here, right sides together. And so we're gonna do that for both pant legs. All right, we're gonna go sew that. I'm gonna sew that on my sewing machine first and then finish it off with your preferred method. All right, so now we're gonna steam that seam towards the back pant leg. So that's the back over there. So we're gonna steam that way, and then we'll head over to our sewing machine and top stitch. I'm telling you, one of the best things to do when you're sewing anything, but especially woven fabrics, is to steam, steam, steam. Steaming gives you such a nice finish. I just love it. Cargo pockets. You want to make sure that you first transfer all your markings with some water soluble or some kind of marker. Mine is heat, so I don't want them to go away as I'm steaming, but the first thing you're going to do is you're going to steam 1/4 inch at the top first, and then fold again 1/4 inch and top stitch. Then we're going to grab our sides and our bottom and fold it 3/8 of an inch. All right, so this is new to me and we're gonna work it together because I know it might be a little confusing. So you've got where you created your folds here. So now we're gonna go ahead and open up those folds that we created. Okay, open them up. And we're gonna grab one side and we're gonna go up to the other side. matching that raw edge here, and matching, really what you want to match is down here where these kind of the shapes match here. You see that, the triangles? So match those up. I'm just gonna clip here. All right, so those are matched up here, so you'll be sewing those up. Then we're gonna go do the same on the other side. And you're like, what other side? This side right here. You see how this side, these two notches, these triangles are on this side as well. So you're matching, you're bringing this over to this side. Okay. And matching those up, because you're going to sew these, keeping that seam allowance. So you're gonna go where you made that mark, like up, down, where you make the mark, and here too, on this side where you made those marks, get it away from everything else, and sew those lines up. Make sure to follow your guidelines to keep that seam allowance. All right, let's go sew those up. All right, we're gonna trim those seam allowances to 1/8, and we're gonna clip into those corners, but don't cut the thread. Just clip right to that corner. Okay, now you're gonna turn the bottom corners right side out and make sure they're neat. All right, so we're gonna start by folding the line. So you can see the lines here that I created. I hope you can see them. So you're gonna go to the farthest in, and you're gonna grab that line and the second line, and you're going to match them up. So I'm just gonna grab, like pinch out the one side and go into the other side and kind of match them together so that I know that they're matching. That's my one line there. And that's creating my pleats. So that's my first pleat there. Okay, so there's my first pleat. And then I'm gonna do the same on the second line. So there's my second line there, and I'm gonna match it up with this other line. So I'm gonna go right through that first line and match it up to the next line. Just do it with pins, and then come out the other side. And that's my second pleat. And that should match up with your corners that you poked out here. You see that? It kind of like matches up right there. There's one pleat, here's another pleat right here, and then I still have this space right here where I had my seam allowance here folded over. That's what's gonna get attached. These will get sewn together in a minute, just the pleat themselves, to create those, because you'll see if you face them forward, this is my pleats of my pocket, how that's gonna face there. So now we're gonna do the same on the other, oops, this pin came off. We're gonna do the same on the other side. Again, the farthest pleat to the back. So I'm gonna start by pinching one, or pinning one, and come into the other one, and then fold. It's kind of hard to see on this other side for me, honestly. Okay, we're gonna start pinning and go over, come back, and then go back to that pleat. There we go, got it. Okay, and then it's easier once you get that top section there, because you can just like fold it and follow like your pleat that you have down here. Kind of helps you, and make sure that you look at it and you're pinning it right, so it looks like this needs to go over just a little bit. Okay, and then now the same with the next line. Start one side, go to the line, go back, and then go back to the line. So there's the other pleat. All right, so as you can see, now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the sewing machine, because you can see that all these pleats are created now. See that? So there's one pleat, two pleats, and that's what's going to be your cargo pocket, right? So we're going to go over to our sewing machine and separate the two pleats. So we're going to start at the top of the pleat and go all the way down top stitching, around the bottom top stitching. So you can put a pin here if you want to, and all the way around, coming back to the top on the other side, top stitching, and then do the same on the next pleat, like top stitch all the way around, separating that, so you're just top stitching that pleat to itself. Okay, and so we're gonna go do that for both, because this is what our pocket's gonna look like here. It's gonna be like that. It's a cargo pocket. All right, so it's time to attach our cargo pocket. It's finished. I did go ahead and finish those raw edges of my pocket just because I was a little bit worried that it might fray on me, because this fabric is really frayy. So these, if you want to re-steam, I'm going to re-steam these you know how we did that, we steamed up those edges and did that stitch, because this is what's going to get, this is how it's going to get attached to the actual pant, you know, along those. So I'm going to go steam those up. And also you can go ahead and attach either hook and loop or a snap or whatever you're going to do the closure here. So I went ahead and got that ready to do. And then my pocket top, I went ahead and put some interfacing on one side, and then we're going to grab the other one and place it right sides together and sew around the top, all the way around side, top, side. Leave this other side open so that we can turn it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that at the same time. I want to get all that prepped, because then we'll come back, sew the pocket on, sew the flap on, and we'll be basically done with that cargo pocket. All right, so I've got my marking here where my pocket's gonna go, and we're going to place it right over that. Okay, and you want to center it with the pant so it looks nice and even. I'm gonna give it a pin right here just to keep it centered. Then down here, so what we're going to do is we're going to sew that seam, that stitch right there. So here's that folded allowance here. I'm going to fold that over the pant. Don't pull it out so it's not like that. We're just going to leave it because it's just going to stand there. This is your cargo pocket here. So you're going to put that down and stitch just that one layer. So all these other pleats are going to stay out of the way. And then do the same on this side. Move the pleats out of the way as you're sewing this down. Going all the way around, because these pleats will come over it like that. So it's just like it opens up, you know, because it's a cargo pocket. All right, I'm going to go ahead and sew all the way around, sticking that cargo pocket down. Then once I'm done sewing all the way around, I'm going to top stitch these corners down here to stitch this pocket down. Now, you're going to have a million layers, so you're going to be really careful when you stitch that down. I'm going to stitch down here in the corner mostly, and then on the other corner as well. Just kind of stitch it down so my pocket has reinforcement and it's not going to rip off. Now, for the flap, I'm going to go ahead and use my pinking shears to trim the edges. You can just trim the seam allowances. I just love to use these guys anytime I have a chance. And then we're going to flip it over. I'm going to go top stitch it around. All right, I'm going to grab my cargo pocket area here because I'm going to go top stitch this around first, but I'm also going to add my other side of my hook and loop here. So I wanted to put it, this is going to be my top of my pocket, so I want it to the inside of my pocket, but I wanted to line up with where, you know, my hook and loop is here. So you want to make sure that it's right at the right spot. So it's going to go right here, and I'm going to sew that on. Now, if you don't want that, if you didn't want that seam to show, you can always open up your pocket first and sew it to just the one layer so that it doesn't show on both layers. But I don't mind if I see a little show here. You could even put a tag there, like a fun, something fun to do there. That would be cool. Oh, I'm sorry friends, I forgot that we're supposed to tuck this in and top stitch the top as well. And I didn't. So I went ahead and folded it, and now I'm going back and top stitching that front. All right, so now I'm gonna stick that on, and I'm going to go back to my sewing machine and top stitch it, the pocket lid to my pant. The pocket lid, the top, and then it be connected. Eee, that cargo pocket looks really nice. Actually, I think I didn't stick it quite right on. It's not centered. There we go. I was like, that looks a little off. And I know I measured I figured out the hook and loop first. Okay, there, that much better. All right, I'm gonna go top stitch that. While I'm there, I'm also going to go ahead and put in finish the edge of your pants with your serger, or however you want to finish those off so that they're ready for the next step. All right, so I went ahead and gave the hem a press, 1/2 inch press, so that way it's easier for later for when we're hemming. And now we're gonna fold those pants right sides together, and we're going to sew that back, that crotch seam here. We're gonna line it up, make sure you line up that yoke and everything. Looks nice and neat. And then we're going to go ahead and sew it. I'm gonna sew it first with my sewing machine, and then I'm gonna finish it off, finish that raw edge with my serger. All right, I'm gonna steam that seam towards the wearer's right. So if I'm wearing this, it goes like this. This is on left, right. So yeah, I'm steaming it that way. I had to kind of picture it in my head which one was the wearer's right. And then we're gonna go ahead and top stitch it. Oh my gosh, you all, we are nearing the end, and it's looking so good. I mean, everything about these pants is just looking so good. Cannot wait to try them on my son. All right, let's go top stitch that. All right, oh my goodness, look at how good that's looking. That looks so professional, so profesh. Okay, we're gonna turn them right sides together, so inside out, and we're gonna sew the inseam. We're gonna match up that crotch seam and go all the way down the leg. I'm gonna sew it on my sewing machine first, and then I'll sew with my serger to finish off the edge. Y'all, these bands are looking so good. Okay, so you can go top stitch around the inseam. All right, to top stitch an inseam that is got a narrow, like a leg or an arm, we're gonna go and we're gonna put like the crotch or the opening here under the presser foot area. Okay, so it's kind of ready. This is the center. Then we're going to grab the back, the leg or the arm or whatever it is, and we're going to gather it up and just bring it over here. So we're gonna kind of bring it all the way over, kind of gathering it up. Keep everything else out of the way. Just gathering it up, bunching it up here. Making sure nothing else is underneath it, like moving aside, like everything else. Bunch it all up. Okay, so here is the bottom. Make sure that you didn't bring the other side of the leg, and if you did, just push it back out. You really want to see that gap there, like the hole where it's going to be just the one side. This is the only side you want to top stitch, is the only thing that you should have right here, okay? And then now I'm going to go ahead and place that under my presser foot, and I can start sewing my top stitch, figure out which way you want your seam allowance to go. I'm going to place it right there, and I'm going to be moving this out of the way as it goes. Okay, so you're going slowly because you got to unwrinkle it as you go. I hope you can see. Here's the inside, and I'm just stitching it down. make sure your allowance is still going that way. You keep moving it out of the way as you go. The hardest part is really just getting it all bunched up. Once you get it all ready to go, you can keep going all the way down. So then now for this other side, you can just keep going straight. Now if you have a hard time doing this on this side, you can just pick it up, pick up the foot, turn it around, and do the same thing on the other side. But I'm going to show you here how see my stitch right there? Oh, let's focus it better. You see it right there? Yeah, there it is. It looks good. Now we just have to finish our waistband and hem and we'll be done. Oh my goodness, like how good do these look? All right, so I'm gonna put that aside. All right, we're moving on to our waistbands, and I've got my waistband lining and my main. On my main, I went ahead and attached my interfacing to one of them, just to the main back and the main two fronts. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab them and match them up at the short raw edge to create my waistband. So this is going to be my main here and my other side, and then I'm going to do the same for the lining. If you have fabric like mine that looks very similar for the right side and the wrong side, I like to put a little sticky to the right side, so that way I know these are my right sides. I'm sewing them right sides together to create that loop all the way around. All right, so now once you've sewn those together, we're gonna open up the seam allowances and seam. And then I'm gonna grab my lining pieces and I'm going to fold my bottom raw edge 3/8 of an inch and create a crease. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and grab my pants here, and we're going to attach our waistband to our pants. And I like to trim all these threads, get them out of the way because it can be kind of annoying. So now we're going to go ahead and grab our bottoms, and we're going to attach our main facing to our pants. And you're going to attach the straight part, mark that half, make sure that goes to the half, and then match up the side seams and go all the way around. Now at the front, you should have the remaining fabric at the edge, because that's what's gonna help you when we sew it together. You're gonna fold over that, so you should have some fabric here at the end. Now remember, if you didn't baste this piece down here in the front, you need to make sure that you do baste that down, because that's, you know, you don't want the pocket to fall down as you're trying to sew. All right, so now that that's on, we're gonna go ahead and attach our, that's gonna trim all the threads that are there. You can go around and trim all those extra threads. Okay, we're gonna grab our lining band, lining, and then we're gonna attach that lining to our waistband, right sides together. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and grab our waistband. We're gonna steam all the seams towards the waistband, so steam them up there. And for the lining, we're gonna steam the lining open, and we're gonna understitch our lining. So we're gonna go on the, take this off. We're gonna go on our lining and top stitch that seam allowance down so we can understitch it. So I'm gonna go through this side and top stitch along where the lining is. Got to remove the tape. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and grab our waistband, and we're going to fold it right sides together here at the front, and then we're going to go ahead and sew up close to the edge. So here's my edge here. We're gonna go ahead and sew that up straight. You can get trim this extra zipper tape that kind of comes over. You need to do that. And then we're going to sew straight here. And you're gonna have obviously this extra that we'll cut out later. So we're just gonna go straight up from here from the edge. So just go straight up, and then we're gonna do the same on the other side. Now on the other side you'll have less because it's wider. So we'll go right here at the edge of our underfly and go straight up. Make sure that this is still your little fold crease that you created earlier is still folded, and sew all the way up. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead and trim up to where we just sewed up. Trim that corner a little bit there, so that way you can flip. Okay, and now we're going to turn it. All right, so once you've turned it, you should be able to have a good overlap here when you close your zipper. So you have that overlap here where you're going to attach your button and everything on the waistband. Now we're gonna go on the inside of the waistband and make sure that your waistband seam here is facing up, and we're gonna place our folded top edge here of our lining, our waistband lining, over that seam. And we're going to stitch it from the outside. We're gonna top stitch it from the outside. So you wanna make sure that you pin it nicely. I'm gonna actually give it a good steam so it's nice and stiff. And then I'm gonna pin it, and we're gonna go to the outside and top stitch the waistband. But we're gonna start with just doing the back waistband first. We'll come back to do the front after we attach some elastic to the back. All right, so I'm going to pin this, but we're gonna sew it from the right side. So what you can do is, if you want to pin first and then like baste it down, that way you know exactly where you're going to be sewing on the other side. That way you can catch your band. You want to make sure that you're going to catch the band all the way around. So you can go on here and put in a basting stitch and then turn it around and sew it. Or if you want to just go from the right side already and sew it, that's up to you. Now, if you're just going for it like I am, make sure that you remove those needles, those pins as you go. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead and grab some elastic. This is 85% of my wearers, my son's back measurement. And this is an inch, but you can do an inch, inch and a half. And we're gonna fit it right through the back waistband. I love this because it tightens up that back so it's not like sagging back there. So that kind of helps with that. Okay, when I get about a ½ inch away from the edge, go ahead and pin that here so it doesn't go all the way through. Then we're going to top stitch there, and when we pull it all the way through on this side, okay, we're going to pin here as well. And we're going to top stitch on both sides. Okay, so I'm going to go my sewing machine, and I'm going to top stitch it here and here. And then we're going to go ahead and close up the rest of our front waistband here like we did the back. We're going to close it all the way around here. And I'm going to want to go down and then up, so that way it's kind of finished there too. Okay. All right, so we're going to move on to buttons. Okay, so the button's going to go here on the inside, but you're going to put your buttonhole on the outside, and it's going to be horizontal here. So you want to match up where the button's going to go and where your hole is going to go, and you want it to be like right in the middle here somewhere. Okay, so we're going to take that button over there and do that buttonhole. But while I'm doing that, I'm also going to go ahead and prep my belt loops. Okay, so I've got my belt loop piece here, and I'm going to fold it wrong sides together first. Then I'm going to go ahead and fold it into itself to that crease on both edges. Then I'm going to fold it on itself again. And I'm gonna head over, and while I'm sewing everything up, I'm gonna top stitch it on both sides to create those loops. All right, and look at how good that looks. I'll cut those up and they'll become my belt loops. Now for button, we're gonna go ahead and grab our button foot, change that. This is my button foot here. And I'll put my button here on the back to show my button foot how wide I want to make that buttonhole. And then I've got this little lever on the back of my machine. You pull that down and place it right there so it will stop when it's sewing. So let me close it up so I can show you what it's doing. All right, so I pulled this down and it kind of gets jammed between these two places here. So I'm just gonna do a trial first. Buttonholes are always a little bit scary, so I like to do a trial before I sew. Buttonholes start at the bottom and they go up. Usually I'm going to change my stitch to a buttonhole stitch. Okay, and then I'm going to go start it right where I want it to end, right? So like it's going backwards, and then we're going to start. It just does its own thing, and when that gets to the next point, it turns around and it does it on its own, because it's going to go as big as that button that I put in the back. You lift up the foot and you've got your beautiful buttonhole there. You see that? Okay, so now we can move on to our actual pant. All right, and I'm gonna put it right in the center. And I want it to be like right kind of in between where the zipper is. So scary. All right, let's do it. There's my buttonhole. All right, now to open the buttonhole, I like to put a pin here at the end so that I don't, end up messing up and cutting my buttonhole all the way open. I usually use seam ripper, but I cannot find my seam rippers, but I like put my seam ripper here at the end and then I seam rip all the way to that edge, but this will work as well. There's my buttonhole there. Where's my button go? Where did my button go? Oh, it's in my button foot. All right, so here's my button, and that's gonna go right there. So what I want to do is I want to mark where my button's going to go. So I'm going to put it right through that hole so I know exactly where it's going to go. Okay, and face it right sides and then just kind of press it. Hopefully I'll have an indent, which I do. And then I can grab my marker and mark where my button goes. Then I can go ahead and fit my button through there and attach it. All right, now my button is attached and it's good to go. That looks so good. Okay, now what we need to do is the belt loop. So I'm gonna grab my belt loops and I'm gonna cut this 5 pieces 3-inch long each. All right, so there they are. And then I'm going to fold them up at the top 1/4 inch down and then up at the bottom, and so they're ready to attach. Okay, we're gonna mark the belt loop placement. There's gonna be one in the center back. There's going to be one 1/4 inch from each pocket toward the center front. So there's the pocket, so 1/4 inch over towards the center front. Okay, and then there's going to be 1.5 to 2 inches away from each side seam on the back. So here's the side seam here, so 1.5 to 2 inches away from each side seam on the back. All right, so then we're going to go ahead and grab the loop and we're going to put it right sides together here at the top of the waistband and sew it on. Then go down right below the waistband and sew the other side, the bottom, and then we'll hold it down and then do like a zigzag stitch to secure the belt loops. And we're going to do that for all of them. Last thing I'm gonna do is go ahead and hem over that 1/2 inch seam allowance that we created earlier. All right, you made it through. Now you get to see my finished results. They turned out so good. My goodness, here's my button and my zipper. Maybe I should have zipped it up first before I buttoned it, but they look so good. And the back, and then the cargo pocket. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please comment, like, share, subscribe if you haven't, so you never miss any of our other tutorials. Go grab your pattern, come back and sew it up with me. You can do it, we can do it together. We do a little bit at a time, and yeah, so cool. They turned out so good. These are probably my favorite pants pattern that I've ever made. Literally, so good, so detailed. I love it. Comment below and let me know what you think. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all next time.